just want to do a quick live to talk to you about 6 reasons hiring managers want you to offer an exclusive or retained service. Again, if you can see and hear us, just give us a like. And while you're there, just to let you know about the free workshop that we've got coming up on Thursday. It's called the Inverse Method. It's going to be walking you through the easy way to secure more retained and exclusive clients without sounding pushy, salesy, and even in super competitive markets. It's a process that we've been testing for a few months now with our clients, working really well for the ones that use it. So it doesn't matter if you're, seasoned pro and retainers, it'll help you get more of them, or if you're contingency and you want to move to a more exclusive or retained model, will help you with that as well. Even if you're sort of a newbie in recruitment as well, so it's working with a lot of our clients, their consultants as well, who've never actually sold retainers, helping them again make it easier, convincing or helping the client understand why they might want to consider that option. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about 6 reasons hiring managers want you to offer an exclusive or retained service. Again, just before we sort of dive into the content, again, if you've been following us for even a short while, you probably know that we're sort of big fans in terms of I guess a payment structure for your clients. We're big fans of either the exclusive or retained model. That's not to say that you can't get results doing it other ways. Or you can get results with contingency, you can get results with any other way of doing it. But from what I've seen, speaking to literally thousands of recruiters, for me, this is the best way to do it. For I guess 2 main reasons for me. Terry, I don't know if you've got any other input, but one is like the fill rates. Again, across the board, on exclusive and retained, fill rates typically 85% upwards. Versus contingency, where average you're looking at sort of 30%. I've spoken to some recruiters where it's higher, but I've never spoken to a contingency recruiter where it's higher than 85%. So one is the fill rate, which is effectively the success rate of your service, right? So I think we all want to deliver a good service to clients. We all want to sort of deliver on our promises more times than not, and I've seen that happen more when it's exclusive and retained versus contingency. And the other one is, I think for you to deliver your best work, it involves commitment from both sides. You as the recruiter, but also the client as well. And again, I think when we get the hiring manager to understand that, exclusive and retained models suit that best. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I think the traditional method for contingent recruiters is to get some job orders and work them. And work the numbers game, and they acknowledge that a lot of the work they get or job orders they get, they're not going to fill. But you need to consider that. And Drew said, the fill rate's anything between sort of 20 and 40%. Sure, there's some contingency recruiters out there that might fill 50%, even 60%. But even at 60%, what it does mean is there's a lot of work, a lot of roles that you're getting, you're not working, you're not delivering on. So you're saying to the hiring manager, give me the role, but most of them I won't actually fill. From your point of view as the recruiter, what it means is that most of the time you're working, you're not going to get paid. If your fill rate's 30%, 70% of the work you're doing, you're not going to get paid for. And this problem's getting worse, by the way. There are a lot of recruiters out there that to enter into the recruitment market is dead easy. You just need a phone and a computer. You can call yourself a recruiter, quite honestly, and work from your kitchen. Added to which, it's a buoyant market. I think every recruiter you talk to would tell you that it's a really buoyant market. There's lots of job orders out there. Now, if there's more job orders out there and you're working on contingent, that means that you're going to work even harder than ever before. You get a job order, but the problem you've got is half a dozen of your competitors have got the same job order. So all of you are working that job order. Now you've gone into it's like going into a boxing ring with one hand tied behind your back. But in particular, if you've got that job order, a week or 10 days after most of your competitors, because I've got that head start on you. So ultimately, it's not serving you, and you're in business, to generate a good, healthy income and have a thriving business. So working on a model where most of the time you're going to work and not get paid probably isn't a good idea. But let's forget about you for a minute. Let's consider it from the hiring manager's point of view. That's what we want to, we ought to be doing and communicating how the hiring manager is going to benefit. So think about it from the hiring manager's point of view. one reason being, and number one on our list is your hiring manager honestly doesn't want to deal with multiple recruiters. Think about it. If 6 of you are working on that same job order, that's 6 recruiters going back to the hiring manager on the telephone, via email, sending through CVs or resumes, 6 times as much work. Yeah. Look, on a personal level, I love recruiters, but the reality is a lot of hiring managers don't feel the same way. And then having to talk to 6 recruiters is kind of making things worse as well. But they have to do that. Now, what happens is that for the majority of recruiters, the hiring manager will never ever get back to you. Now, you may say that's rude and that's inconsiderate and all that stuff, and I wouldn't argue with it. But look at it from their point of view. You call them, you're the 6th recruiter that's called them about that same job order. Added to which, the average hiring manager gets between 4 and 10 calls a day, every day, from recruitment businesses. Think about that for a minute. So not only have we got these 6 recruiters working on this role, but they're also getting swamped with phone calls and emails and messages from recruiters, all wanting to work with them. From their point of view, they're going, enough already. I've had enough. I've spoken to as many recruiters as I want to. So the number one benefit is if they only work with one recruiter on the retained or exclusive basis, they're only having to deal with one recruiter that's working on that role. That's beneficial for the hiring manager. Anything you'd want to add to that, Drew?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I guess what I would say is, one of the questions that we've been asked quite a lot, when we were promoting this workshop. So yeah, by the way, it's makemoreplacements.com/live if you want to register. But one of the questions that we've been asked quite a lot is, yeah, I get the benefits of exclusive or retained. I get, it's going to be easier for me to fill the role if I'm the only recruiter working on it. I get, on the retained side, if I get paid up front, I'm probably my cash flow is going to be a lot better. So they get that. I guess, one of the questions that I've been getting quite a lot is, will exclusive or retained work in my sector with my clients? And I guess the point we want to get across today is that assuming that your clients want the best candidates available, so assuming they actually want the best candidates, then the answer is they already want an exclusive or retained service. They just don't, unless we can communicate like the benefits of it to them, they don't quite understand that that's the best way for them to get it, right? So again, as Terry said, reason number one is, they don't really want to deal or spend the time dealing with multiple recruiters. Again, it's a lot, they've got other responsibilities in the business. Yes, filling the position is one of them, but they don't want to spend time dealing with multiple recruiters if they can get the same outcome dealing with just one. So again, if you're a good recruiter and you believe that, given the time, space, the exclusive, I guess, room to search the market properly, you could, you've backed yourself to go out and find the best candidates. Why do they need to speak to multiple recruiters when they can just deal with you? Right, that's reason number one. Reason number two, which is quite a big one, let's assume that you're good at what you do, you're a good recruiter. Most hiring managers don't want you to send the best candidates you find to their competitors, right? So again, one thing to understand is that, exclusive or retained isn't just about you blocking your competitors. I think that's one of the sort of reasons a lot of recruiters like the models, because, it's just me working on the role, I get to block my competitors. That's great, but it's also about your clients having first refusal on the candidates you find. So again, on contingency, because the emphasis is obviously on placing the candidate, right versus filling the role. Like when we find candidates, you may not do this, but it's in your interest to do this, to send that candidate to multiple different firms, right? In the hope that one of them says, yeah, this is the perfect candidate for us. We're gonna take them on, right? So that's sort of the emphasis on that when you do it contingency. Exclusivity, again, like I said right at the beginning, it's commitment from both sides. So not only is the client committed to you, committed to hiring through you, but also you're committed to them. So you're saying, look, when we go out and find the top candidates, you're also getting first refusal on them. So again, a lot of your clients already want that. They already want to have assuming they want the best, the most likely way they're going to do that is if they've got first refusal on the candidates actually sent, especially in the market in the way it is at the moment. So again, assuming they want the best candidates, they want the exclusivity. already. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, one of the things that's key here is that you communicate the benefit to the client. The benefit to you as a recruiter is quite apparent, but for the client to engage with you, you've got to talk about how they're going to benefit from working with you exclusively. And Drew touched on a really good one there. In particular now in this market where it's, for most recruiters we're talking to, it's a candidate-driven market. So there's a shortage of good quality candidates. Your client or your prospect or the hiring manager does not want to share those good candidates with their direct competitors. And by the way, if you've got any doubt about this, ask the question. Hey, listen, I can find these guys for you. Do you want to work with me exclusively? Is it okay if I share them with your competitors? Just ask that question. And the response is universal. It's a hell no, I want these guys exclusively. So if you were just to ask that question, you'll appreciate why it's important for the client that you work with them exclusively. But you have to communicate that to the client. So I think the key thing there, if you've got any doubt, ask the client. You've got a choice here, Mr. or Mrs. Client. I can work with you exclusively, or I can share these top candidates with your 5 main competitors. What's your preference? Now, when you're working on contingency, I can understand that you're gonna get that candidate. You're gonna put it in front of one client. If you know any of the clients that are looking for that candidate, you may put them in front of them as well. Because at the end of the day, your job, and to have a successful business, is to fill that role. Your job is to place that candidate, because that's what you're getting paid on. So your motivation is completely different to the retained recruiter or the exclusive recruiter, where they go, no, I've got an agreement with a client and I'll work exclusively with that client. That's number 2. Your clients don't want you to send the best candidates to your competitors. Number 3, this is kind of obvious, but I've got to state it. Your clients want you to search the entire market. Now, what many recruiters do, not all, but many, the philosophy is, let's get the first 3 decent candidates that we get and send them over to the client. We acknowledge that we're competing with other recruiters. So let's get the top 3 or 4 candidates over there as quickly as possible. So what the client's getting from the recruiter is the recruiter that's the quickest, rather than the recruiter that's going to search the entire market to get the best candidates. Because of course, when you're working on contingency, you haven't got the time to say, no, I'm going to devote a lot of time to this because I want my client to get the best candidate. Because you acknowledge at some level that most of the roles you work on, you won't fill. So what's going through your mind is, I can't give this too much time because I might put all this work in. If you're a contingent recruiter, you've been there where you put all that work in and ultimately you don't fill the role. So from your client's point of view, again, you need to be communicating the benefit of them working with you, and where you're going to search the entire market rather than just send the first 4 candidates that you find through to them. Yeah. Anything to add to that, Drew?
No, yeah, I think it's, it's fair to say that, especially on contingency, like the busier you get, the less time, assuming that you don't, assuming your team doesn't expand at the same rate that you bring job orders in, right? Which most times it won't. The busier you get, the less time you have to spend on each role. So you have to, sort of prioritize, right? So a lot of the time, you're not even doing a search on a lot of the roles that you have on, right? Because you just haven't got the time or resources to do so. So again, from a client's point of view, if they want the best candidate, that's going to require you to do a full search of the market. How can they, how can you or they know that they've got the best option if you haven't done a full search? There could have been someone else who was available that might have been better. So that's number 3. Reason number 4 is, so again, just to recap, you've got reason number 1, they don't want to deal with multiple recruiters. They'd rather just deal with one. 2, they don't want you to send the best candidates to their competitors. They'd rather, get to interview them exclusively and get first refusal. 3, they want you to search the entire market. And then 4, they don't want you to spend, they don't want to spend hours sorting through CVs. So this is obviously linked to number 1, right? So when they're dealing with multiple recruiters, and we're saying, let's say let's say they're dealing with 5 recruiters. Each of those recruiters sends over 5 CVs, right? And that hiring manager now has to sort of spend time looking through, sorting through those 5 CVs, filtering, which ones are the best, which ones they want to interview, right? They don't really want to spend time doing that a lot of the time, right? So what they want is, again, they want to work with one recruiter, but they also want you to act as a filtering system, so they don't have to sort of deal with you know, the underqualified candidates or the candidates, the CVs of candidates that don't want to interview. They want you to do that, like, sort of heavy lifting for them, hand them, you know, the top picks on a silver platter, and then just focus on those. Terry, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, this is very similar to the first one. The first one was they don't want to deal with multiple recruiters, and we explained why. And this is very similar. Multiple recruiters means multiple CVs or resumes coming through. They really don't want that. You're taking up, let's say there's 4 recruiters working on this. You're taking up a lot of a hiring manager's time. You ask a hiring manager, have you got plenty of time to go through 4 times as many CVs or resumes than you normally would? And you can kind of guess the response. So if you can get the client to work with you exclusively, you're doing them a favor. And again, that's what you need to be communicating. Rather than having to work with 4 or 5 recruiters and go through 20 or so CVs or resumes, we'll just work exclusively with you, and you're just going to get the top resumes and the top candidates out there, because we've got that opportunity and that time to do that as well. So I really want to reinforce that. Again, it's about the benefit to the client. So that's number 4. Number 5 is, ultimately, when the client engages you, obviously they're looking for a candidate, but for you to do a good job, you really need to commit to working with that client and commit to searching for that particular candidate. So your hiring manager, they want you to actually commit to the search. But from your point of view, you're kind of thinking, well, why would I commit 100% to this particular role where there's 4 other guys working on it, and I probably do a lot of work in it and never ever fill it? So it's understandable from your point of view that you may not commit to it, but the hiring manager wants you to. See, if they're serious about filling this vacancy, they need you to be as committed to the search as they are. They don't want you to put their job order on the back burner because something else comes along that may be just a little bit easier to fill. So it's another benefit to the hiring manager. They do want you to actually commit to this search, to this job order, and find the number 1 candidate out there. Anything to add to that, Drew?
No, yeah, hit the nail on the head. I think, you know, if you work continuously at the moment, you will know that as roles come in, you have to prioritize, right? The busier you get, you know, like we said earlier, we have to prioritize in terms of which are the ones I'm most likely to fill, which are the, you know, effectively which are the easiest, or it might be which one of these pays the most, right? So both of those sort of 2 things force you to put certain job orders on the back burner. Like they become less of a priority to you. And again, there's nothing wrong with you doing that. You sort of have to run a business that way if you're working on contingency. But from your client's point of view, again, if they're committed to filling the role in the first place, 2, they want the best candidates, they're going to need that commitment from you, right? So working on an exclusive or retained basis, what they're effectively doing, you know, they're buying that commitment. They're buying your time and attention, your full attention as the expert to work that vacancy. And what I'm saying is that we're willing to pay you for it, right? You know, obviously with contingency, contingency is a model that doesn't involve any commitment from either side, right? They're not necessarily committed to using you or hiring at all. So you've probably had it where, you know, you've taken on a contingency job order and the client changes their mind, or they don't hire, or, you know, or they hire, but it's from somebody else, right? So there's no commitment to you, but also you're not committed to them, right? Yeah, you're saying you're going to work the role, but you don't have to, right? So that's, and again, there's nothing wrong with that if that's the agreement up front, but from the client's point of view, if they want the best candidates and they want the role filled, they need you to be as committed as they are to fill in the vacancy. Does that make sense, Terry?
Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And the last one is, often hiring managers, they want a discreet search. So it's a confidential search. So what the client's saying to you, the hiring managers, we don't want the whole world to know that we're actually out there looking for somebody. And in some cases, it's because there is somebody actually doing that role right now, and they're about to be fired, but they don't know it yet. So when you've got multiple recruiters working on the same role, it's more likely that assignment, that job hunt, is going to be known to more people. And from the hiring manager's point of view, it may well get back to the person that's in the role doing it at the moment. So if your client, hiring manager, wants a discrete search, it's beneficial for them to work with you on an exclusive basis rather than giving that to half a dozen other recruiters, because there's every chance that's going to get back to the person that's doing that role at the moment. Anything you'd actually add to that, Drew?
No, again, I think you've hit the nail on the head. So let's wrap up today. But again, to remind you, if you want to know how to make it easier for you to secure more exclusive or retained deals, if you go to makemoreplacements.com/live tomorrow, so that's tomorrow, 24th of June, we're running a free workshop where we're going to basically walk you through the process that's working really well for our clients. That's makemoreplacements.com/live to join that training.
Yeah, and just to add to that is that on that call, this method, by the way, is called the inverse method. It's completely different to what the majority of companies are doing to get business, and probably why it's working so well. It actually gets the prospect to want to buy from you more than you want to sell to them. So what the prospect then, the hiring manager wants, is they want to work with an expert rather than bring in a hired help. What it means from your point of view is that rather than having to compete with multiple firms on that same vacancies, you're going to win either exclusive or retained business. And you can see all the benefits of that to you and to the client that we've just shared with you. Now, this system has worked 100% with our clients that have used it fully. And for some of our clients, the first time ever they've worked on an exclusive or retained basis, and they're getting those kind of results. So if you've had enough of being treated as a hired help and you'd like to be treated as the expert, come and join us. And that's if you go to makemoreplacements.com/live and reserve your place. Now, places are limited. I think there's only 100 slots available and most of them are gone. So there's only a few places left. So go to makemoreplacements.com/live, and it's on Thursday the 24th at 1500 UK time, which would be 10 a.m. New York time. So come and join us tomorrow. That's makemoreplacements.com/live. Drew, thank you very much for your input today. And look, please join us tomorrow. Until next time, folks, take care, take action, and be relentless. Cheers, folks.